I've been hearing from many of you, fans and followers, as well as some of my personal friends, that there's a little bit of stress in your homes right now regarding quarantine, which is stressful enough. But I think the focus for some of you is, how can I possibly teach my child all that they need to know right now? It's about the homeschooling stresses. Well, I know that a lot of my followers, you guys have babies, toddlers, and even preschoolers or kindergartners. I don't really have so many people with the grade school kids, but either way, the focus right now with our kids really just needs to be on rhythm, routine, and security. Our kids don't need to be focusing on their algebra and their literature and all of that. I mean, if they're older and they're sitting down and they're doing their schoolwork, of course, please continue that. Don't stop it. That's not the message that I want you to focus on from this video. But I do want you to recognize that we will go back to school eventually. We're heading into summer. Our children were already worn out by, March and April of the school year, as the school year was coming to an end. And right now, our world is very uncertain, especially for a young child. So try not to overwhelm yourself or your family by focusing too much on schoolwork right now. But for the most of you that follow me, you've been following me since your kids were babies. And so let's go back to toddler and preschool years. And what I want you to recognize is that right now, the most important thing for our child is not only keeping safety and security, number one, and making sure that their psychosocial health and their emotional health is of the utmost importance, but also recognize that at this stage, the things that they're learning in school, in preschool, or their day schools and Montessori programs, are not really focused on content. Sure, they come home and they tell you that they learned all their letters and their numbers and they learned about patterns or something like that, but the purpose of introducing those concepts is simply that. It's about introducing the concepts and brain development, body development, emotional development. Head, heart, hands. That's what's important at this stage. So even though your friend or your neighbor might be saying, well, my child has already learned to read and they know all their numbers and they know all their sounds and they can add already and all of this, that's great. That's awesome. Kudos to them. Right now, the focus really just needs to be on developing the whole child. Brain development is happening from rich sensory experiences. The neurons in the brain, from the very moment a child is born, this itty bitty, itty tiny baby is born with more neurons in the brain than there are stars in the galaxy. And as we expose them to different sights and smells and sounds, the neurons in the brain start to fire and rewire and reconnect in order to absorb that information. And so in these early stages, what we're doing is just providing rich learning experiences for them, most of which should be occurring in nature, and I'll get to that. But what that does is build the brain, use those neurons, fire, rewire, and ready the brain for more abstract concepts later on. So, for example, if you're cooking something in the kitchen right now during quarantine, you're doing any meal prep, baking cookies, baking banana bread. I've seen a bunch of memes about people doing banana bread and things like that. If that's what you're doing in your home, invite your child in. Perhaps there's something that they could do. Maybe they can stir. Maybe they can dump a cup of flour into the bowl. Maybe when they crack an egg, you can talk about where an egg comes from on the farm. Just cooking with your children is rich sensory experiences because they're stirring, they're working their muscles, they're using conservation by seeing how the flour dumps from a small container into a bigger container. They are conversing with you about the different ingredients and where those things come from, which might spin into another conversation. There's different smells and different sounds, different feels of the things that they're doing. Cooking can be an activity that you guys do together every day. You don't necessarily need to sit your child down and have a math lesson at these early stages. Talking about the calendar every morning can be really great. Say a morning verse when you get up with your kids. Talk about the rhyming words. Move into your kitchen or your living room, wherever you have a calendar up. Talk about the month, the season, the days of the week, the time of the day that it is. Maybe take a walk outside and look up in the sky and talk about the way that the sun looks in the morning, and then do the same thing midday, afternoon, and evening. That gives your child a little bit of an internal rhythm. I've talked before about the value of rhythm versus routine. Routine means you do the exact same thing every day at a certain time. Rhythm is really about a breathing of an in and an out. And I talk about this in my Waldorf and anthroposophy video, that what our children really need right now is rhythm, meaning that we have awake times and down times, alert time and downtime, active times and rest times. We have this in and out sort of breathing, inhale, exhale throughout our day. So it might be that they get up and they free play while you're making breakfast, and then we inhale and we sit together and have breakfast as a family, and then we exhale by going on a walk and playing outdoors, and then we inhale and we have lunch. We exhale with an art activity and we inhale with a nap. We exhale by reading a story or building a Lego tower, and then we inhale by cooking together and having a family dinner. We exhale with bath playtime, and we inhale when we do stories right before bed. Do you notice that rhythm? There's no accident to the fact that we blink, our heart beats, our lungs in and out. Rhythm helps us to feel grounded and secure. Again, that's back to the purpose right now is really about security and stability with your young children. The experiences that you provide should be also child-led at this point. If your child is not sitting down and doing circle time with you, that's okay. That's totally normal. I can tell you, I haven't really done any education with my kids, but they've learned a lot. If they want to watch TV, I say, guys, pick a Dr. Seuss that speaks out to you. And we watch Dr. Seuss, and maybe it's on space. So when the space video is done, I'm like, guys, do you want to watch a real rocket ship? We'll pull up YouTube and watch rocket ship. We're going to go through our library and see if we have anything on space. We're going to talk about the different parts. What is an astronaut? What does it even take to be an astronaut, right? So I'm going to follow their interest as a guide throughout the day. I'm not sitting up at night researching different activities on my phone, looking at Pinterest, trying to find out, what can I do tomorrow? Normally that's me because I'm a little bit more energetic as a mother, but not right now. This is about survival. This is about, keeping ourselves calm. COVID is intense. There's a lot on social media that as adults we're trying to, really try to understand and figure out how does this fit into my life and my future. There's a lot of uncertainties. And right now, just being an adult and keeping our sanity and our health and our focus on our families is hard enough. Don't stress yourself out by focusing too much on education for these really early ages. They'll get there. Their schooling is important. I'm not making light of that. But in the home, there's plenty that you can do. You can be talking about numbers, shapes, patterns, colors throughout your daily activities. Make your conversations important. Touch your child's heart when you're speaking to them and look into their eyes. When you're playing outdoors, find rocks, talk about the sounds that rocks make, look at leaves, listen to the birds, go on a nature walk and try to find beautiful things outdoors. Talk about the differences between what did it look like in the winter, what does it look like in the spring, what might it look like in the summer, what might it look like in the fall. Bring in some things from nature into your home, create a little nature table, create sun catchers if you can, use food dyes and watercolor on coffee filters can be fun. Let your kiddo just go at it and make different shapes with scissors, like Edward Scissorhands. They just love when they get to use the scissors. Put some Play-Doh out on your table and, let them work their muscles. This works fine motor strength right there. Climbing a tree is building gross motor control. Basically, at this stage, what I want you to understand is just playing and being present with your child is very valuable. Let everything else go. It's gonna fall into place. You're not gonna have a 40-year-old bum that doesn't know his letters because his mom didn't do it during COVID quarantine. And I really just want you to focus on that right now. Focus on yourself, focus on your family. Focus on the loving and learning that is taking place in a healthy and happy home. I have some other ideas on my blog. I have some things on patreon.com/wholeheart. But right now, just take care of yourself, take care of your family, recognize that their brains and bodies are building daily, and just really utilize this time the best way you can by just being present with them and giving them the attention and the love that they need. You can also find me on Whole Heart Crunchy Parenting on Apple Podcast and wholeheartcrunchingparenting.com.